is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Summer has arrived in the Queen City of Cincinnati, Ohio. Temperature in the 90s, high humidity. And as the Cowboy would say, let's get it on. The Oakland A's against the Cincinnati Reds on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the Cowboys, Jeff Brantley and Jim Day, I'm George Grant. It is hot, it is humid, great baseball weather, and the Reds are responding of late. They won 6 of 9. One of the keys, Dan Straley.
It really has been, George. When you watch Straley pitch, you think, how in the world did these other teams let him go? I mean, he has been a huge bright spot for this Reds ball club. Started in an Oakland A's uniform. You wonder how will that affect him mentally here today? I don't think it's going to affect him at all, especially after watching him pitch. You watch Straley on the mound, he's going to give you a 3-pitch mix. That slider is his money pitch. But he'll also use the changeup, and he can throw it for strikes. When you've got a starting pitcher that's got 3 pitches that he can get in the strike zone, especially with a fastball that will paralyze you like that, that's why he's had some success. 47 hits in 67 innings.
That's pretty good. Dan Straley made his first major league start as a member of the Oakland A's. Daniel Menken will make his first major league start as a member of the A's. He's been good in the minor leagues.
He really has. I think this is kind of a rush job. I don't know that the A's expected him to be starting this year, especially this early. But you look at those numbers. 5-1 with a 1.19. Now that's combined numbers between AA and AAA. Good sinking fastball. Got a breaking ball that is still in the works, and he'll throw a changeup as well.
Well, in this winning 6 of 9 stretch for the Reds and the way they played at home, the home run ball has been a big part of it. 19 home runs the last homestand, 12 home runs during this homestand, and once again the guy in left field's been doing it.
Yeah, he has. Adam Duvall has been incredible, folks. Sometimes you wonder, how does he do it? Well, he's done it with a shorter swing. That's how it started. Shorter swing in spring training. What it's allowed him to do is stay balanced on that pitch, the breaking ball that is out over the plate. So not only is he getting to the fastball, but he's getting to the breaking ball as well, and he is hitting them with some serious authority.
Adam Duvall's on a hot roll. Can the Reds win a series here against the Oakland A's? Brandon Phillips doing his part. That story's next when Jim Day joins us on Fox Sports Ohio.
By Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Well, we've been talking about it all week long. The hot, hazy, humid conditions that have finally moved in this weekend. But hey, at least we're dry. We're not dealing with the rain today. Absolutely zero chance of rain. We'll just see a few clouds from time to time. 92 degrees in the middle of the game. Drink plenty of water out there today. It's going to be a warm one, dropping off into the 80s by the end of the game. Enjoy it here on Fox Sports Ohio.
No question, it's a scorcher right now on field level. And speaking of hot, that would be the bat of Brandon Phillips. He's our focus again of our IGS, bringing the energy. Reds only put 2 on the board last night, and 1 was scored via a wild pitch. But Phillips got a hit and continued his 13-game hitting streak. 18 for 51 over that span, .353 batting average. 4 doubles. He's scored 9 runs, and that 13-game hitting streak is the longest current streak in the National League. He would like to move that thing to 14. Reds looking for a series victory. Dan Straley will face his old team. Interleague play. Reds and A's. On the other side, it's George Grant and the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley.
Park, number 58, Dan Straley, who's been the Reds' most effective starting pitcher during the first 2 months of the season, ready to go to work against his former team, now managed by Bob Melvin. Melvin, 5th year of managing in Oakland after managing in Seattle and Arizona. Of course, very close as he goes across the field to look at the Reds manager Brian Price. They nod to each other and acknowledge each other. They were very close. Price was his pitching coach in Arizona. Let's check his starting lineup for game 2 of this 3-game set. Coco Crisp had a couple of hits last night. In at 226 will lead it off, the switch hitter. Back-to-back switch hitters. Jed Lowry, once a shortstop, now a second baseman. Stephen Vogt, who homered last night, hits third. Valencia, former Red Yonder Alonso, will be the top 5 in the lineup for this Oakland A's ball club. On the mound for the Reds, here's the big right-hander who's proven he belongs up here. Cowboy.
Face your old team. Your main goal is get through that first inning, get past all of the adrenaline and wanting to beat your old ball club, and then it just turns into baseball.
Straley made his first major league start as a member of the Oakland A's, bounced back and forth for the better part of 3 years from the minor leagues to the major leagues in the Oakland organization.
He made 27 starts back in 2013 for the A's. Pitched in the ALDS, as a matter of fact, before being traded to the Cubs.
And was one of the best rookie pitchers in the league that year.
I think he was 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting.
1 ball, 1 strike to Coco. Crisp last night led off with a base hit his first time up, singled his second time up, slaps this one foul. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Crisp, once one of the best base runners in the American League. His numbers have slowed. 5 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times too. One of the league leaders in caught stealing. Does not run as often, but still speedy in the outfield. He'll play left today and not center. Down and in for a ball. It says the home plate umpire, veteran Jimmy Reynolds. Manny Gonzalez umpires at first. C.B. Buckner at second, and Fielding Culbreth, the crew chief, is your third base umpire. Just missing on the outside corner. So Straley will go to a full count with the first batter he faces here in the first inning. First pitch strike, something that the Red starters who have had success in the last week and a half have been doing. And here he walks the first batter. Been a while since we saw Jeff Brantley uniform numbers and pictures when he was a San Francisco Giant, but let's go back and take a look at Straley when he was in Oakland A. A little different, huh?
Well, it looks a little different without the beard. But that slider and that changeup still look awfully good.
Now the Reds had the shuttle between Louisville and here close when he was in AAA with Sacramento. That was their minor league AAA franchise. Now it's Nashville, which makes it a whole lot more difficult for the A's to get a player up as they have with the starter for today. So runner on. Here's Lowry, the switch hitter at 301, a homer, 19 knocked in. 0 for 3 and a walk last night. Straley to the stretch. That's wide. And right away Barnhart, good visit, Cowboy, to try to settle him down, get him back in the zone.
Yeah, it looks a little bit as though Straley is jumping to the plate. He's getting underneath the ball a little bit. You can see the elbow just slightly drop. And a lot of that is early start anxiety, and it's also trying to make the ball move too much instead of just doing what comes natural. Stay on top of the ball, drive it to the plate.
Reds turned 3 double plays last night. They love to turn one right here. That's a strike, says Jimmy Reynolds.
And that's the changeup from Dan Straley. That is such a good weapon for him. Looks just like the fastball as it comes out of release point.
Lowry, about a .260 career hitter, having a pretty good offensive year. Did have a .300 year with the Red Sox in his early American League days. 301, a homer, 19 knocked in for the switch hitting second baseman. In the coach's box down at third for the Oakland A's, veteran Ronnie Washington. Formerly a third base and infield coach here, and the manager in Texas, now back coaching. And it looked like Coco Crisp was having a mind to go to second, but he slipped on his first step and threw on the brakes. But now they're ahead 2-1. If they're going to move him, this might be the pitch to move. His right foot just slipped out from under him as he tried to bolt to second. 2-1. Not going.
Yeah, I think when you have a day like today, the grounds crew likes to get the water on the field and keep it from being dusty and blowing around. In that first inning, a lot of times it can be a little damp over there at first base. And if you're a base runner, you've got to understand that.
Temperature in the 90s, high humidity as well here in Cincinnati today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner not going. Pop foul again.
A lot of times, George, when you see a base runner get on early in the ball game, it's almost as though he's kicking dirt backwards. You know, trying to get a lot of that top layer of moisture off and get down where he's got a foothold to take off. I did not see Crisp do that at all, and that's probably why he slipped.
Good point. Down and in, good block by Barnhart. So we'll go full to the second straight batter.
Right now for Dan Straley, he's trying to make every pitch a little bit too special. And once he can get calmed down a little bit, things will start to go better his way.
Well, we'll see if Crisp will be running 3-2. Nobody out here in the first. He is not. And this was popped up in the infield. Phillips calling. And he'll haul it in for the first out. I'll check your forward defensive alignment for the Reds. Once again in center field, Billy Hamilton on the 7-day concussion protocol, so he's on the disabled list. Tyler Holt back in center field, Duvall in left, Bruce in right, Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, Votto across the infield, and Barnhart behind the plate. Tale of a couple of catchers last night. Barnhart, time and again, dug balls out of the dirt, was able to block errant pitches, but Stephen Vogt behind the plate with Sonny Gray trying to stay down in the strike zone. Had a couple get by him, and one of them proved to be a wild pitch that resulted in the go-ahead run. Barnhart's been great this year, Cowboy, hasn't he?
Very special behind the plate. I think the Reds are awfully fortunate to have a catcher like Tucker Barnhart be able to start on a daily basis after losing your #1 catcher in Devin Mesoraco.
So a first pitch strike to Stephen Vogt, who homered last night. Down the right field line, that's going to go into the corner. Crisp will at least get to third. Ron Washington's going to send him. They get the ball out. They got it. Now they'll hold him up. Crisp, he waved him on. Crisp came around third, and then verbally he held him up. And from an A's standpoint, probably fortunate they did, because Phillips was ready to fire to the plate.
A changeup, and this ball stays up and out over the plate. And Straley will tell you, I hold the changeup the same way every time. I throw it to the middle of the plate and let it do what it's going to do. That one came out a bit early.
So Vogt, who had a productive night last night with a homer and a single. The homer is 5th of the year, picks up his 14th two-bagger. He's at second. Crisp is over at third. And here comes Danny Valencia, and at a hefty 340 with 9 homers on the season. And 22 knocked in. Well, last night the Reds stayed out there all night long, and that's where Valencia was swinging.
He was definitely appearing to be pull happy in last night's ball game, and he appeared to open up rather early on that breaking ball there.
Valencia last 9 games at .500, 16 of 32. Overall 340. And once again, breaking ball wide, swing and a miss, 0-2.
And you saw that pitch. I mean, that pitch never got to the plate. It was a good 1.5 feet off the outside corner. I mean, watch where this pitch started. I mean, the plate is not even in view. But when your front shoulder is flying towards third base, you can't tell where the pitch is.
And look where Barnhart set up. He's about 2.5 feet into the left-hand batter's box.
Well, that's what you should do.
Yep.
If he's going to chase one 1.5 feet, well, let's see if he'll chase one 2 feet out there.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Valencia.
Now that one stayed closer to the plate than I think Straley wanted it to. But Straley pitching for a strikeout right here. The infield is back. The Reds are going to give up a run on a ground ball to an infielder. If you've got a 1 ball 2 strike count as a pitcher here, and you've got a guy swinging at sliders like that, he may feed him a steady diet of that pitch.
There's the 1-2. Came in on him, foul back. And the count stays 1-2.
That may have been as much of a setup to get back away, change a little bit of the dynamic for the eyes of the hitter. You come in off the plate, Even if he takes that pitch, it still has the same effect. Now you can go back away with that slider.
Second and third for the A's with one out here in the first in the dirt. And the count of leaving at 2-2. As over shifted towards the left field side with Phillips almost behind the second base bag. They play him fairly straight away in the outfield.
If you're Straley here, you want to start the slider up enough to entice Valencia to go after it, but you still want to have that good break down and off the plate. Fine line when it comes to release point.
Straley to the stretch. Lined and under the glove of Suarez. That'll get one run in. It'll be first and third. Suarez hanging out for it, and it just went under his glove for Valencia's 23rd run batted in. And it's first and third as Crisp scores after the leadoff walk.
Another slider, and you see where this one is. He tried to start it up, but it didn't have the depth and the break down and away that we saw earlier. That was just a spinner. It was not a strike, but Valencia's looking out there because of the swing and misses early in the count. He just got the barrel to the ball.
Well, there comes yonder. Alonso had a couple of hits last night. 2 line drives off the right field wall. Each of them wound up being a single on good plays by Jay Bruce. The former Red bangs this one down to second. 4-6. Yes, sirree. 3. Double play erases the base runner. A's score a run. Reds go to work, bottom of 1. And a run in the first inning. We go to the bottom of 1. Let's check the starting lineup for Brian Price and the Cincinnati Reds. Zach Cozart back in the leadoff spot. He leads the club in hits, doubles, and hitting overall with that .291 average. Joey Votto in at .225. He'll bat in the number 2 spot. Brandon Phillips, that 13-game hitting streak on the line, followed by Jay Bruce. Duvall, who had another big hit last night. Suarez. Holt in for Billy Hamilton, and Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher, bats in the 8th spot. Dan Straley hits in the 9th spot, and another major league debut, Daniel Mencken, Cowboy.
A little funky windup, and you'll see it. Top of the windup has a little bit of rock back before he comes to the plate. Straight over the top, and a little rock there. Likes to sink the ball and run the ball in on right-handers. And he's got a pretty good changeup as well. Now he'll throw a slider and a curveball, but fastball, changeup, more his top pitches.
Ball 1 to the first batter he faces. He is rocketed through the farm system of the A's, and the A's, just like the Reds, are rebuilding with a lot of young players, either at the major league level or just on the threshold of coming up. 43 minor league appearances, 34 of those starts for Mencken. Cozart fouls it off. Zach, all told, just under 300, and he's just over 300 in day baseball. He's always been a good day baseball hitter. I mean, who knows why? And this year, he's just been a good hitter, period. Day, night, and otherwise. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2. Mencken pitched at Texas A&M. He was a draft choice of the Houston Astros in 2014. Traded to Oakland, and he's in the right place at the right time. 2-2.
Came over in the Casimir deal.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1. So his first batter will go as his first strikeout.
He's got the slider working here early today. Got Zach to swing at a couple of them, and this one well out of the strike zone. See that grip? See the spin, that bullet spin on the baseball as it comes to the plate.
Just by watching him, Cowboys, first time we're seeing him. I mean, he's got a funky delivery. It looks like it'd be hard to pick the baseball up.
Yeah, watch the pivot foot as he steps back. Watch this foot right here as he steps back. Little tap, tap again. Now here he comes. And a lot of that is what Mignon is trying to do to get himself to stay on that back leg and not come forward too soon as he drives to the plate. You see him go over the top of the head, almost a pause there. He'll tap it once and again, trying to stay right on that back leg as he drives to the plate.
1 ball, 1 strike to Joey.
There's the change up there. This guy competes a little bit now. Everything that I have heard and talked with others about, he believes he belongs here.
And he's got kind of that throwback look, a throwback motion, and in the true historical reference,
he's got a little
Raleigh fingers mustache.
Raleigh fingers working up there, doesn't he?
Ray Fosse's got to love it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Inside and all the way to the backstop, almost hit Joey. Ray Fosse, of course, still one of the broadcasters for the Oakland A's. Not only a veteran player, and everybody remembers the collision between Fosse and Pete Rose in the All-Star game. He was one of the best catchers in the American League in the early 1970s. There's the Fosse man. Boy, does he love catching. Boy, does he love baseball. Still a joy to be around, huh?
Amen, brother. Love talking to him about the pitcher-catcher relationship.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Joey, line drive center field. It'll drop in front of Billy Burns, the center fielder today. And Votto gets the first hit for the Reds.
Nice piece of hitting there by Joey Votto. A changeup. And Joey a little fooled on this one early. But this pitch starts in off the plate and comes back to the middle. And you can see really turning it over. That's the circle change, and this one turns over right to the heart of the plate rather than down and away.
That answers the question. Whenever you haven't seen a pitcher, they say he throws a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, a curve, a slider, and a change. You wonder, is it the split finger change as so many use today? But clearly there's the circle change that is not a bad pitch for him early in his career. Here's Phillips, 13-game hitting streak on the line. Takes a little off, way out in front is Brandon, and as we talked about last night, number 1 with interleague play, but number 2 when a kid comes up from the minors, you haven't seen him. You can even get video or whatever, but until you see a pitcher, until you step in the batter's box, see what the release point is, and you saw Joey, he crouched down, he choked up, but it's like he was in a 2-strike approach from his first pitch.
The release point, that's the key there. You can see on video what kind of action that he has on his pitches, but once you face him the first time, you realize, okay, this is where the ball's coming from, and that's where I need to key on. Is it the right ear? Is it the right shoulder? Is it above the hat?
A little more conventional from the stretch is Mencken, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to, or the no balls and 2 strikes to Brandon. In this 13-game hitting streak, he's been outstanding. 18 for 51, 353. It's gotten his average up to 268. last night. He extended the hitting streak in his final at bat in the 7th inning. That started the Reds rally where they produced 2 runs to take the lead. Popped up right side and out of play.
The key for Mingden is when he runs that fastball in on the right-handers. Because if you're a right-handed batter and you're seeing a pitcher for the first time, you see that sinker come in right on your hands. It's not the strikeout the hitters are afraid of or don't like. It's getting their bat shattered at home plate. That's the one that's the most humbling experience. So once you know that ball's coming in there, you start to speed the bat up a little bit, and it makes some of the sliders, changeups, and curveballs more effective.
Still 0-2. Hit pretty good to right. Back Muncy. He'll have room at the track. Votto tags, but will hold it first. Brandon was in his line drive swing to right mode. If he had been in his home run swing, that would have been going. He got pretty good wood on it, but not much behind it.
Yeah, it's tough to gear up on a kid when you face him for the first time, and you can see with this fastball it comes in, but Brandon a little more flat-footed than what we normally see when he's trying to drive the ball the other way.
There comes Jay. They will overshift to the right side. The second baseman Lowry in short right field. Bruce sitting on 13 homers and 42 knocked in on the season. Over 300 the last 13 games for Jay. And the average creeping up at now at 274.
When you see Mingden out of the stretch, he holds the ball behind his back. He's not getting the grip there. When he takes his hands way up above his head, that's when he's getting the grip. But he wants to continue to have motion with the glove and the hand so you can't pick it up. Now he's getting the grip right there.
And that's a wide one to Jay. So Bruce will take the walk. 3-0 pitch. And the Reds have 2 on. With 2 outs, here comes Adam Duvall. And while Vogt goes out to talk to his young right-hander, let's check your 4 defensive alignment for the A's. The A's last in the American League in defense. Crisp in left, the speedy Billy Burns in center, and the youngster Muncy in right. Valencia in for his offense as your third baseman. Semien, an outstanding young prospect. His error count significantly lower this year than last year with Ron Washington working with him. Lowry and Alonso, the former Red, on the right side, and both behind the plate. That's your 4 defensive alignment. Here's Adams, 17 homers, 41 knocked in. That's a strike right down the middle. Eight straight for Adam Duvall. And hit over 300, 333 during that period. In the air to right. Coming in fast. Muncy, will he get there? He will. So the bid for a hit falls for Duvall. The Reds strand a pair in the first. They trail it 1-0. percentage numbers on the day. How about the Red starters earn run average at home this year? That's those regular starters, 18 innings pitched or more. John Lamb, #1 at 231. Raisel Iglesias will start his rehab this week, and Dan Straley at 284. Those are the best Reds at home this year. And of late, the Reds have been better at home off the mound. And you know about their home run story. 12 more home runs for the Reds during this homestand, and they're hitting them at home and winning at home. Here's Simeon, the young shortstop, 227. 11 homers, 25 knocked in. Yes, he's an offensive shortstop, but talk to the A's and talk to Ron Washington. They say this kid can be a Gold Glove caliber shortstop too. He said shortstops make 3 mistakes. Either you boot it, you throw it away, or you make a bad decision. You'll boot some, you'll throw them away. What I don't want my young guys to do is make bad decisions. You can control that mentally. Huh?
Got that right.
Swing and a miss. 1 away. Strikeout #1 for Straley in the second.
Looked like a big curveball here from Dan Straley, and he had Simeon well out in front. The speed got him more than the break and the location. Took a bit off of that one.
There's Muncy up for the minor leagues. 0 for 1 and 2 walks last night in the start in right field. Reds overshift to the right side against Muncy. That's inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The A's roster changed significantly this week. Chris Coghlan back to Chicago. He's with the Cubs now. He was playing a lot in the outfield. Solid major leaguer. And of course Rich Hill, their best pitcher, put on the disabled list with a groin strain. And if you look at it, you take Hill out of the mix, starters are 11 and 24 without him. So, and he was 6-1 with a 1.80 ERA. That's a big hole in your rotation.
Yeah, you look at some of the guys that they had signed to fill the rotation spot. It has not worked out the way Billy Beane and Bob Melvin had planned it out.
And stints on the disabled list, and hey, don't tell the Reds anything about that, because no one's had more of a mash unit among the starters than the Reds have. DeSclafani back last night, and Cowboy, for those that didn't get a chance to see him, how do you evaluate his start last night?
I thought he threw the ball great. I mean, for his first time out and being on a big league mound, the key was his ability to rise to the occasion when the A's had runners aboard. And I think that's really what is a testament to the integrity and just the heart of DeSclafani. He gave up a lot of hits, but not hits with runners in scoring position. He made pitches when he had to make them.
And he had 4 innings where he had to get the final out with runners in scoring positions, and back-to-back strikeouts from Straley. You said it after inning #1. Straley's going to be okay now. He had to settle down, and he looks better in inning #2.
Yeah, that first inning against your old team, as you see this slider down and in to Muncy, he sees it as a fastball and just swings over the top of it. That first inning facing your old team, even if there's nobody on the team that you know, it's the jersey you used to wear. There's a little bit of just those old feelings running through your head. You want to do good. You put too much pressure on yourself.
There's Billy Burns. You know, we're blessed to have the speed of Billy Hamilton. And if you put him in a race, it would be a dandy. Billy Burns and Billy Hamilton. That's the kind of speed he has. So Eugenio Suarez is in tight at third, guarding against a possible bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike to the speedy outfielder. He's got electricity in his feet just like Billy does. Our Billy.
I'm taking Hamilton against the snow leopard.
Oh yeah. But he brings that kind of excitement when
Yes.
he's on the bases. And the only way to describe it, what he means to this Oakland team. He's at 248. And of course, we've seen major improvement from Billy Hamilton this year. Popped up, Suarez battling the sun. Got it. 2 strikeouts and a pop up. That's a dandy second inning for Straley. Suarez due up when we return. during today's game. Darren Shawless from Walton, Kentucky will win this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. You know, there are moments where you watch somebody look at something longingly. You know, you're looking at that wishing you were out on a boat right now. I know. But whenever we do that promo every night, Jesse Jackson looks at that truck as if it's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. You know? Some night we may see him get up there with the keys and try to drive off that platform.
If he drives off that platform, there's going to be no more Jesse Jackson.
Here's Eugenio Suarez, strike one to him. 13 homers, 33 knocked in. Tries to hold on it. That's a ball.
Yeah, Mingden gets just enough shoulder turn out of the windup where the ball looks. He hides the ball awfully well.
That's way high. 2-1. Sky high fly ball down the right field line. Here comes Muncy, and he got it. So Suarez 0 for 1. Last night, Eugenio was 1 for 3. A base hit in the 7th inning as part of that Reds rally. You missed it last night. Sonny Gray was brilliant. He had a no-hitter until Tucker Barnhart got a single in the 6th inning. And the Reds came up with 2 runs in the 7th. A run-scoring single by Adam Duvall. And then another run scored on a wild pitch, and the Reds had the lead that they eventually took to the locker room with a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, 2 pitches in that 7th inning got by the catcher Stephen Vogt.
Here's Tyler Holt, 284, no homers and 6 knocked in.
As soon as Mingden throws the ball and the ball is fouled off or the catcher throws it back to him, he is set exactly like he is standing right now. I mean, he is ready to pitch.
And Holt's ready to hit up the middle, base hit. Red's second base hit. Votto a single in the first with 1 out. Here Holt a single in the second with 1 out. Reds have not pushed the running game with Barnhart coming up. Might they do it here?
Slider stays up and out over the plate. It's a pretty good piece of hitting by Tyler Holt there.
Holt 2 stolen bases. He's been caught twice. Barnhart last night 2 strikeouts and that first base hit that the Reds had in the 6th inning. Short lead for Holt down at first. Our Steel power tool performer last 3 games after being in a bit of a funk. 6 for 11. A home run, .545 average, and 3 runs scored. We haven't seen the move yet, and we haven't seen a slide step yet from this young right-hander. And I think that was what Freddie Benavidez and down in the third base coach's box, Billy Hatcher, as well as Brian Price on the bench, are looking at. Bigger lead now for Holt. Not going. 1-2. Barnhart in the 8th spot. The pitcher Straley due up next. Not going. Slapped away. Now, Cowboy, when you pitched, I mean, you were a shortstop, so you got quick feet, quick hands, and a quick move when you wanted to first base. Sometimes when you don't see somebody throw over, it tells you right away they don't have a very good move. Don't show it. Right?
Don't show them that you don't have a move, and you'll keep them wondering. But if Mingden continues with his high leg kick, the Reds are going to take advantage.
Agreed. 1-2. Line drive, center field. Here comes Holt around second. He's heading to third. Here comes the throw. He's going to be safe. The ball kicks away. Looks like it might have hit him either in the head or the back. Maybe even a hand, or that jammed his hand coming in, but the ball actually beat him to the bag. But Holt's going to be safe at third and the runner's safe at first. So first and third for the Reds.
Billy Burns got to this ball in a hurry. A little cap spinner right back up the middle. Burns got to the ball quickly, and it just hit him in the back of the leg. But you watch as Holt was coming into the bag, as the ball hit his leg, caused him to stumble a little bit. He just had to just kind of do whatever you can to kind of get to the base. That's how you get hurt right there.
That's ugly. And he appears to be okay. Straley showing bunt. Safety squeeze, and he rolls it foul. The Reds in the last week have had extra bunting for all their pitchers. Their bunting has been atrocious by the pitchers. Billy Hatcher going to make sure that Straley knows exactly what they want to do. Here's another look.
You could see the bat head drop down below the handle with Straley. We saw it with John Lamb the other day. The bat head has to stay above the hands if you're going to bunt the ball into fair territory.
Showing bunt again, fouls it off again. Not a squeeze, a safety squeeze. If he gets it down and Holt gets a good break, he'll try to score. Now 0-2. Will they keep it on?
I think sometimes as a pitcher that does not bunt a lot, you can see him reach for the ball. You don't want to reach for the ball. You want to catch the ball with the bat. But you're thinking, if I lower the bat, maybe that will get it on the ground quicker. That's not the case. Bunt the top half of the ball.
This is another foul ball at strike three. So the Reds don't get the sacrifice down. And with runners at first and third in that situation, at the very least, if you move the runner from first to second, you got to sacrifice. If they throw to second with the speed of Holt, he could score. Or if it's a good bunt, he could score on that. So the options are positive if you get the bunt down.
The best way to practice bunting and to simulate some semblance of game time situation is to get in there in the cage and crank that sucker up to about 95.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what happens. You're afraid of the baseball. You're afraid to stick your hand out there to bunt.
There's Cozart, struck out in the first. Strikeout is Straley the second for this young right-hander.
You can practice bunting with a pitcher or a coach throwing BP. He's not throwing the ball over 90 miles an hour. And you're going to be able to bunt the ball just as easily all the time. Until you crank that speed up, no real life situation.
First and third for the Reds. Reds stranded 2 in the first, and they got 2 more out here in the second. Pitch count mounting for Daniel Mencken in his major league debut. Ryan Price hoping somebody can come up with a base hit, get a run in here. Reds trail it 1-0. Valencia's base hit knocked in the Oakland run in the first. Runner going. Hit and run fouled off. Barnhart peeking back at Hatcher, rolls to the signs once again. Cozart checks him out too. 0-2. The Reds have 8 different players over 300 with runners in scoring position. They've been one of the league leaders in that category all year. There goes the runner. There's a dribbler down to first, but Yonder Alonso will glove it, tap the bag. So the Reds have stranded 4 through 2 and trail it 1-0.
I'm Jim Day. Let's talk about some pitchers on the mend. It's our Elk storylines. Raisel Iglesias getting closer and closer. In fact, he's in Pensacola, or with Pensacola, and will begin his rehab stint tonight, pitching at high A ball. And the Reds have announced that he will come back into the bullpen along with Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen and Homer Bailey both threw bullpens yesterday, no issues. Lorenzen's next stop is Louisville, where he will pitch on Monday. And he says he needs about 3 or 4, and he won't be spaced out by 5 days as a him if everything goes well in a couple of weeks, boys, and the Reds will certainly need him.
Hey, JD, by the way, you did the same thing I did when Michael Lorenzen came back into town, went up, said hello to him. We all got a chance to say hi. What do you do? Leave all the hair in Arizona? That is Michael Lorenzen, right?
You know what? Brian Bryce actually joked. He said, it's been so long since I've seen Michael Lorenzen, and when you go and you don't see kids nowadays, you got to check in first. All right, how's the hair? What do we got doing with the hair? And even
long flowing hair gone.
Yeah, even with his case, you got to check. Hey, did you get any new tattoos?
Looking forward to getting married this coming year. Here's Mencken, the pitcher, batting in the 9th spot. That's a Raleigh Fingers mustache. You haven't seen one in a long time, but there's zip, zip, zip. His first at bat will be strikeout number 3 for Straley. Follow Cincinnati Reds baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video, highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. I got to believe by now, what are we in the 3rd inning? Ray Fosse's probably told about 6 Raleigh Fingers mustache stories by now. Charlie Finley started it all, didn't he, Cowboy?
Oh, yeah.
Line drive, center field, hold. Got it. Bonus. Raleigh still got it. I mean, every year I'd go to the Hall of Fame, and I stayed at the Inn at Cooperstown every year. Every year I was up there for 30 years, and Raleigh's family would stay there too. He stayed in the Otesaga, but the rest of his family would stay in our Inn at Cooperstown. And everybody that came around wanted to know, is the mustache really real? Is he still wearing it? And he still is. It still looks great. There's Jed Lowry, popped up first time up. In the first, Coco. He then went 3-2 to Lowry, who popped up to Phillips. Souvenir.
That'll put a smile on any kid's face.
Swing and a miss. Nice inning for Straley. Another 1-2-3. 2 straight clean innings. Votto leads it off, and we return.
after the 1 and 2 and look at the pitchers that they have put out there. Position players in the first couple of picks. Trammell and Senzel were the first 2 picks. Senzel, then Trammell. But this guy right here, this guy caught my attention. Tyler Mondow. And the reason that he did is he faced a left-hander by the name of Jason Groom earlier this year. 6,000 people at a high school ball game. And he made the comment. He was facing Jason Groom, who was a first-round pick of the Boston Red Sox. Highly thought of left-hander, big kid. Mondow said, I've never been on the field where there were cameras and people were taking pictures of me and wanted to talk to me as much as that ball game. But yet Tyler Mondow won that ball game against the big stud Jason Groom 1-0. The kid can handle the big stage, evidently.
And the draft continues today. The Reds continue to load up on pitching. 10 more today. That pitch is inside to Joey. Votto singled to center on a 2-2 pitch in the first.
What's the old saying, George? You can't have enough quality pitching.
Yep. I remember almost 20 years ago sitting with John Schuerholz when they had a pipeline. You know, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, so on and so forth. Avery, you know, Merker, that whole crew. Merck was coming up.
Mark Wohlers.
Yep. Here's the 2-1. And I said, well, what's the difference? You know, how do you approach drafting a pitching? He said, well, he said, look at the record. He said, they basically drafted 3 times more pitchers than anybody else. So it's not brilliance. It's, you know, a matter of numbers. It's like making sales calls. You make 5 sales calls, the next guy makes 15. He's got a better chance of success. Joey holds on it. He's on twice. He has a leadoff walk here in the 3rd. I mean, you don't know. It's drafting, but then in a very key element.
Top young pitchers. That doesn't happen. Now, you might trade a position player here or there, but for the most part, if you can get a young pitcher that can give you 6 years of quality baseball while you have him under control, boy, you have hit the mother lode.
And in the same respect, I mean, look at Dan Straley, who's pitching today. You know, Oakland drafts him. He moves to 3 teams in the span of a week. And hopefully he's found a home here with the Reds. Here's Phillips, flying to right first time up. Down the right field line, curving towards the corner. Muncy over. It will be foul and against the wall. Good effort by Muncy. Went a long way. And from where he was, surprising that he even got in the vicinity. If the ball had been within reach to pick that one off.
That ball that he caught earlier in the ball game where he came flying in from right field. He's a big fella, but he's got some speed. That was off the bat of Duvall. It looked like it was just going to fall right in there harmlessly for a hit.
Down and into Brandon.
Second time through the lineup for Mingden. You would think that the Reds have a little bit better idea about what they're going to see from the young right-hander than what they saw the first time.
Big swing. And for many years the Reds had as really their most fertile scouting area, Texas. I mean, the likes of Jay Bruce, Jason LaRue, Homer Bailey, down the list, one after another. Brian Wilson, who was brilliant as our scout there. Johnny Alvarez there before that. And Mencken comes from that Houston, Texas crop. Went to Texas A&M after an outstanding high school career as well. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Brandon. Phillips sitting on the 13-game hitting streak. His longest career streak is 22. That's a line drive caught by Simeon. Sound like he might have broken his bat too. 1 away, still 1 on. Here's Jay Bruce.
Like a backup breaking ball. Phillips started out after it and then just spins the hips, but just couldn't quite get the bat head to the baseball.
We're not positive, but we think we've located Minkin's dad from Houston, who, and we just hear from the guys over on the Oakland side, it is his dad in from Houston to watch his son make his major league debut. I don't know who's more nervous, dad or Daniel out of the mound.
I can assure you his dad is more nervous than Daniel Mingden is. I mean, when those knees are popping up and down like that, your nerves are crawling.
Proud moment, special moment, and a nervous moment right now. Then into the stretch, Votto off first. Bruce deep to right field, going way back to Beaumont. Bomber is delivered. Wow, it's 3 rows from the top. Well, the Beaumont, Texas bomber Jay Bruce ignites one off the Houston product, and the Reds have a 2-1 lead. Number 14 for Bruce, 44 runs batted in.
Well, that's one of the longest home runs I've seen out of right field in this ballpark.
Man, what a moonshot.
92-mile-an-hour heater upstairs. Jay did not miss that one.
Boy, you can hear the wow as it left the bat of all the fans down in that part of the ballpark. Big swing by Adam Duvall. This one will stay in the park. Battling the sun is Burns. He's got it for the second out of the inning. Adams 0 for 2, fly ball to right and fly ball to center. Here's another look at Jay's swing.
Ball starts in the zone. Jay goes after it. That's the danger of starting a ball middle in and leaving it on the middle away, because the hitter's thinking I'm going after it because it's a strike, and then the ball stays up. It stays right in that bat plane, and boy, that was a rocket.
So the Reds take the lead 2-1. Suarez flying to right first time up and in an 0-2 hole here.
Fastballs that start on the plate and end up middle away, they go a long way.
Tries to check, doesn't do it. Swing and a miss, but Jay delivers. Jay Bruce's 14th homer, a moonshot to right. Reds lead it 2-1. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing heads to Michigan as Kurt Busch looks to defend his title from last year. Only on FS1, or watch it all live on Fox Sports Go. One swing of the bat. Home run number 14 for the Beaumont Bomber. The Reds lead it 2-1. Here we go to the fourth. Stephen Vogt will lead it off. Danny Valencia, then Yonder Alonso. Great to have you with us. George Grand, the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, JD, Jim Day down by the dugout. I think he's the happiest guy in the ballpark not to be wearing a coat and tie. I mean, we're happy too, but he's down in it's smoking central down here.
Yeah, even though some of the shade is starting to come over the top of it, that concrete is smoking.
Down in the truck, Brian Hunterman, our producer today. Corey Alford's our director. Matt Sigafus dialing up some highlights. Lauren White giving us graphic support as usual. Kent Dreamweaver and Ron Millenor producing all the pre and post game festivities for you. And great to have the opportunity to have Brian Giesenslaw here, and of course it was nice of Jeff Pecora to take some time away from the Italian festival in Kentucky to come here today. He's probably over there now getting a cannoli or a whatever.
They have an Italian festival in Kentucky?
Oh yeah, what a surprise, huh?
Yeah. About that.
You never been over there for that? Oh, it's great.
Now if that was barbecue, I'd be there.
Oh, they got barbecue too. Anything you want. That's nice. Isa tea, that's nice. Down to short. Suarez takes care of Vogt. There's one away. 5-3 is the putout. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Now, usually we're on the road for Taste of Cincinnati. Every once in a while we're lucky enough to be home. That's special. You get everything there, from Italian to German to Chinese to fried chicken. That makes you happy.
I want to go to the fried chicken barbecue festival.
Well, you're going there. You're going to Houston next week.
Exactly. Get that right.
I already talked to Brownie. Brownie said they're waiting for you. They've got 2 more loads of chicken ready for you for the media dining room.
It's good for me.
Valencia singled in the Oakland run in the first. The base hit to left. The Reds benefited from a leadoff walk to Joey Votto and Bruce Homer to make it 2-1. And in the first, the leadoff walk to Coco Crisp wound up producing the run for Oakland as Valencia finally singled him in. Your favorite fried chicken around the National League, Houston?
Used to be. Now we don't get to go down there very often anymore.
Yeah.
But I do like Popeyes.
Mm-hmm. You like the jambalaya there?
No.
I don't either. The chicken is good.
Chicken is good. I like the red beans and rice.
Swing and a miss. So Straley, rocky in the first, settled down in the second and third, and now here's strikeout number 5 with 2 away in the fourth.
Watch this changeup dance. Almost looked like a knuckleball as the ball comes to the plate. Very different type of grip by Dan Straley. It's not the circle change. It's not a split change. It's somewhere in between. He bends down that index finger and places the ball between his index finger and his middle finger, and then puts pressure with his pinky and his thumb.
Yonder Alonso fouls it off. 1 ball and 1 strike. Alonso bounced into an inning-ending double play in the first.
The grip on a changeup is what takes the speed off the baseball and allows you to use your fastball arm action. But regardless of how you hold the changeup, you still have to use the same arm action that you use with your fastball. In other words, you have to throw it hard and let the grip take the speed off the baseball. Because if you're trying to drop your elbow or trying to take speed off with your arm, hitter will see it and crush it.
So really what you're saying is your arm action is more important than location on that pitch, unlike any other pitch.
No doubt. I mean, how many times have we seen through our careers where you've got a guy with a great changeup, he throws it belt high right in the middle of the plate, and the hitter spins himself in the ground, the ball's not even there yet.
Trevor Hoffman, right?
Straight Bugs Bunny.
And the irony of all of Trevor Hoffman, he was a Cincinnati Red. Larry Barton taught him that changeup deep in the minor leagues, and on the way to 600 saves. Yonder slaps this one foul into the seats of the upper deck in left. Talk about draft day and big numbers. Yonder Alonso, when he's at the University of Miami, regarded in a similar fashion to the Reds' #1 pick today. He was an advanced hitter. And what Chris Buckley will tell you, Senzel is the same kind of advanced hitter that the Reds took yesterday. He just misses. Straley was 2 steps to the dugout, and so were all the infielders. They were 2 steps heading to the dugout, but it'll be ball 4 and the second walk that Straley's issued.
Like a backdoor slider, it just never came back to the plate. Just stayed out there. Yeah, I think there are a lot of evaluators out there right now that believe Nick Senzel can get here in a hurry.
Here's Jim Day's new favorite place, the Gigabytes Bar, sponsored by Optics. Good place to be today. Actually, the best place is probably under those sprayers in right center field.
Well, that Gigabytes Bar is amazing. You can see the game on the air. There's so many games and stuff up there for the kids.
Down to third. That's a fair ball, going to go all the way in the corner. Here's Alonso rounding second. Washington will hold him at third, and the A's have second and third after 2 quick outs. A double by Simeon, the shortstop, after the walk, and it's second and third. So from inches away from a call strike 3 on the final out, there's a walk, and then bingo, the double, and it's 2 in scoring position.
Curveball that stayed about mask high, and you could see Straley's elbow get just underneath it. That's what you call casting a curveball. It comes out directly above your hand. The hitter picks it up, and he can wait because he sees it right away.
Now, was that a Mississippi pitching coach or an Alabama pitching coach that from your old fishing days that taught you that one?
Yeah, a little bait caster action.
Yep.
Got that baby right over there on the edge of the tree line.
Some fly catch, too. Second and third. Here's Muncy, struck out first time up. Straley had retired 9 in a row before the walk and then the double, so takes a step back, trying to recollect himself and get out of this jam in the 4th. Reds overshift on Muncy, 3 to the second base side of the second base bag.
Does not appear that Dan Straley is going to be real aggressive with Muncy with Billy Burns on deck, even though he struck out Muncy his first time up.
And that's in the dirt.
Got a base open, got 2 outs in the inning. If you're Dan Straley, you're looking at it this way. Okay, who am I better suited to get out with the least amount of effort, Muncy or the guy on deck? Because you make a choice. You've got 2 outs, you pick.
That switch hitting Billy Burns. Staying down, and there's a second walk in the inning, so the bases are loaded. And here comes Billy Burns. Burns hop to the third baseman Suarez, first time up. Burns trying to break out of a funk that's seen him go 6 for his last 40, under 150. Seeing his average dip from the upper 200s down to 248. Locked him up, strike one. After cruising through the second, third, and the first 2 outs of the fourth, the pitch count with over 20 pitches in this inning now up to 70.
Not sure how Billy Burns' stance, especially with that ball with the bat held high and the bat head pointing towards the pitcher, is going to help you be a ground ball hitter and use your speed.
Looks a little bit the way Craig Counsell used to set up, but then just as the pitch was delivered, he drop it down.
You see that bat head is pointing back towards the pitcher's mound. That makes for a long swing. Really hurts you on the inside pitch.
This one looped into center. Can Holt get there? He does. He held on. He got it. Tyler Holt saves a couple.
I love that kid.
Well, the Reds are blessed with great center field play. Either Billy Hamilton or the Holster.
By your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News Best Children's Hospitals. Special ceremony this morning up in Fairfield at the Miracle League Fields. And there you look at the field, giving handicapped kids a chance to play baseball where they otherwise wouldn't be able to. And this morning, George Gran was the MC. The seats in the front row there at the Miracle League Field were dedicated today in the honor of Bernie Stowe, who we lost in the offseason, and the old left-hander Joe Nuxhall, on their special friendship over the years. We would like to salute everyone, including those guys right there, the sons of Bernie Stowe. The entire Stowe family was there. A lot of dignitaries today. Kim Nuxhall and Don Zeta keeping that dream alive of Joe Nuxhall and giving those kids a chance to play baseball. And George Grant, I imagine it was a special morning.
You're not kidding. And as you might imagine, Cowboy, you know, JD, you know, there were a few tears, especially from Kim. Kim can't get through any speech without a tear or two, can he? He's the best. You know, Cowboy, you and I sat here at the ballpark with Joe and Nuxie before he passed away. He said, you know, we got to get this done. I want to raise some money. We got to enable kids that can't play in a normal baseball field to experience the great game of baseball. And, you know, he started the ball rolling. The Reds, you know, Bob Castellini, Charlie Frank have chimed in. Kim Nuxhall has just done a remarkable job, and his wife Bonnie and the whole Nuxhall family, the whole Stowe family were there today. Everybody's really chipped in to make his dream a reality, and it gets better and better every year. It's remarkable the facility they have there.
The bonds that are built through a game of baseball, whether it's at this level or whether it's 6, 7-year-old kids, is just life-changing, if you ask me. You don't have to get to the big leagues for the game to mean something to you.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Tyler Holt, who saved the Reds a couple of runs with a great catch to end the inning. Holt singled in the second and was left stranded. The Reds stranded 2 in the first, 2 in the second. They've stranded 4. The big swing came from Jay Bruce in the third, a 2-run homer after a walk to Votto. Congratulations to the Nuxall family and the Stowe family, and those seats are just spectacular. Here's a bouncer down to short. Biggest applause of the day went to Priscilla Stowe, Donzetta Nuxall. They both stood and got a standing ovation. The 2 wives were so much an important part of not just their husband's success, but the Reds family. I mean, it's amazing. You know, Mark and Ann and their family, Rick and Marcia, their family were there. Just unbelievable day. Great day. And one of my favorite people ever was there. Same thing with you, Teddy Kramer.
Oh yeah.
Still the happiest man in America. Here's Barnhart, right field towards the corner. Chris give a chase. He can't get it. Lost it in the sun. Rattles around in the corner. Barnhart will stop at second.
Chris was going to make that play up until the point that it got in the sun, and he just flat lost it.
It'll go as a 2-bait hit. Barnhart 2 for 2, a single to center, and this double to left.
Ball's coming down, a very playable ball, but you could see Crisp, as that ball came down, he was looking back towards the wall because the sun was just burning his eyeballs.
And the sun will become more and more of a factor with the odd start time today, 4:10. As we get to 6:30, 7 o'clock, center field and left field are going to be brutal with that sun coming over the top of the stadium. Here's Straley, couldn't get a bunt down last time, and takes a swing and a miss here. Well, the Reds trying to get the runner to third. Cozart in the on-deck circle for Cincinnati. Reds had 1 out, 2 on in the second. Straley struck out, fouling off 3 bunt attempts. Fastball misses. Giddy up at 92 miles an hour. Now 64 pitches for Daniel Mencken. If you just tuned in, 23-year-old out of Houston and Texas A&M, making his major league debut as a starter for the A's here today. That's a call, strike 3, and there's your second out of the inning. We'd like to wish a happy birthday to Catherine Davis. She turned 100 on Wednesday. Her family is gathering today in Independence, Kentucky to celebrate the milestone with her. Catherine, thanks for rooting on the Reds. We wish you a very warm 100th birthday celebration. Enjoy your family, and congratulations.
Amen.
Here's Zach Cozart, 0 for 2, strikeout and a ground out. Broken bat down to short. Simeon has it, and that'll take care of it. So the Reds will strand a runner. They've stranded 5 through 4, but lead it 2-1.
And yesterday we asked him about facing the guys that he knows.
Yeah, you're excited for it, you know, more than anything else. You know, you spend enough time in the dugout talking trash back and forth with each other on how you get each other out. Well, now we get a chance tomorrow to put our money where our mouth is.
And Dan said even though there's been some turnover on the A's since he's been there, there's still some guys that he was on the team with, and he would pinch against the young players that are up with the A's right now in spring training. So my question to you boys, is there that much trash talk going on about how they could get each other out?
You know, there is. You know, it was interesting to watch because one of the first guys to come out of the dugout for the Reds yesterday was Dan Straley, and he ran across to see Curt Young, the pitching coach. Curt, of course, came up as a young pitcher in the A's organization. He's been in the A's organization for 32 years as a pitcher, a pitching coach through the minor leagues, back and forth, in and out. And he went over to him, shook his hands, they embraced each other. Here's Mencken swinging in a fly ball to center. Holt battling with the sun a little bit too, hauls it in. Mencken struck out first time up and then flies out for the first out of the fifth. But yeah, you know, I mean, trash talk is one thing, but Cowboy, when you go back and see your old pitching coach for the first time, and you made it to the major leagues, you're in the major leagues, and he backed you up, helped you get there, that's a special moment.
Well, there's a lot of thank yous that go with that, and it's a little emotional, to be honest with you.
The only trash talk going on is between us and Fosse, right? It's been fun the last couple of days, hasn't it? The former A, the great broadcaster, we've been going back and forth with each other. Here's Coco. Crisp walked in the first, later scored the run that the A's have on a base hit by Valencia in the first inning. And he lined out second time up.
You know, with so much talk coming into this series with injuries to starting pitchers, an awfully well pitched game last night, and this one has the look of the same here today.
Reds trying to win a game today that would give them a series victory at least for the third time of the last 4 series. From here they move on to Atlanta, a 4-game set as the road trip starts. 3 balls, 1 strike. Reds have won 6 of their last 9. The A's now have lost 6 straight and 8 straight on the road. Right field, Bruce going over, got it.
Coco Crisp can't buy a hit. Lined out to center in his second at bat, and he lines out there.
Last night he had 2 base hits, and he's hit the ball harder today and nothing to show for it. 2 away. Here's Jed Lowry, the second baseman, popped to second, struck out 0 for 2. By the way, Jim Day led into the inning with our billboards today, and of course there's a pop-up. Suarez battling it. We'll be back with more about that when we return. 1, 2, 3 for Straley's back on the beam. 8 pitches. Nice inning. Park, your family day destination. Tomorrow, catch all the Reds action, enjoy live mascot races, face painters, games, and a whole lot more. Plus, thanks to Captain Kurtz, all kids 14 and younger will receive a Homer Bailey Fathead. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Well, the Reds got DeSclafani back yesterday. Homer Bailey on the road back too. Both Lorenzen and Iglesias headed on their rehab appearances and destined for the bullpen. So some help is on the way, Cowboy. There's Joey, single and a walk.
Yeah, I think the big key, George, is just to see how the progression comes. I think that Lorenzen is going to be fine. I mean, his first time out in the spring, he was on the rehab spring start in extended spring. He was throwing 97, 98. And I'm sure he's itching to get back out there in competitive ball. You just have to hope that the strength of the shoulder and just get that thing back tight for Iglesias, that the bullpen work will help him stay strong.
Otto fooled but fouls it off to stay alive, 1-2.
I don't think there's any doubt that both of those kids have just electric stuff in different ways, obviously.
Missing inside, 2-2. Been a long time coming, and you know, if the truth be told, you sat down with Brian Price at the end of spring training, just as I did, and he looked ahead at the year saying, well, if everything goes okay, we get the starters back, then our bullpen will be better. There's a liner to left, crisp going over, got it. Joey 1 for 2 and a walk. That eventually, hopefully by July or August, everything will come together. People will be healthy, and we should have a solid rotation, and our bullpen should be settled.
Yeah, I think with any ball club, George, and anybody that's around the game for an extended period of time understands this. You have injuries to the pitching staff, and you're a small market club, things go south in a hurry. And you're just not going to win unless you can pitch and catch the baseball.
There's Brandon, line to right and line to short. Hit the ball hard twice, 0 for 2 in his 13-game hitting streak on the line. One away here in the 5th. He thinks he held the bat, but the home plate umpire, Jimmy Reynolds, said, that's a strike. One and two.
Daniel Mingden looks like he has settled down a little bit. Watching him right now, he doesn't look like he's making his first major league start.
That's a strikeout for Mingden. That's 5 on the afternoon, 2 away here in the 5th, and here comes Jay Bruce. Jay's big swing followed a line drive out by Brandon. Here's another look at a pretty good heat.
Four-seamer. After seeing a couple of sinkers inside, that registered up about 96.
Jay walked, then the 2-run homers giving the Reds the lead. Had a rocket through the minor leagues. He started at Double-A this year, was 2-0, an ERA of under 1. May 1st, went to AAA Nashville, 3-1 there with an ERA of 1.39. So he's been very good wherever he was, and today you can get an idea why the A's are very optimistic about where he's heading. You know, you say Raleigh fingers with the mustache. He actually, you look at his face, looks more like Catfish Hunter, doesn't he? Like Raleigh was big, tall. That's a strike. Talk about a guy that knew how to pitch. Catfish did.
No doubt about it. And he had some gumption to go with it.
Three and 2, a full count to Bruce. Slap foul and into the seats. Hot steamy day here in Cincinnati, and everybody that comes to the park will head home with the Garden Gnome. Jesse, how many of those you got in the back of your car now? A few. That's ball 4. Bruce down to first, so a 2-out walk. Hey, don't forget, each and every day and night, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. The pregame festivities sponsored by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Tomorrow, of course, will be on at 12:30 with a game, a 1:10 start. John Lamb will try to back up a good performance last time. They'll face Kendall Graveman, who was scheduled to start today and pushed back when they brought up the youngster from Nashville. So Bruce on, and here's Adam Duvall. Fly ball to right, fly ball to center, 0 for 2.
You get 2 quick outs if you're Mengden, and then you walk Bruce in an extended at bat. You do not want to make a mistake here. The ball can hurt you in a hurry.
There goes Bruce. Boy, did he pick his pocket. There won't even be a throw. Now, we talked about it early. He's shown no slide step and no concern for the runner at first. And finally, the Reds take advantage of it. Bruce goes to second without a throw.
He's not even looking over there.
That's the 3rd bag for Bruce this year. Always in scoring position. Fouled off by Adam. Adam and many of the Reds watching the college playoffs, the super regionals today. UCSB defeated his alma mater, Louisville, by a final of 4-2 in the first of that 3-game set. It was scheduled for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but with all the ceremonies surrounding Muhammad Ali, they moved it to Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so today was the first game. That's a liner caught by Simeon. Good first step by the young shortstop. He saves a run. Reds strand another runner. They've stranded 6, lead it 2-1. 2-1. Base hit to left by Danny Valencia gives Oakland a 1-0 lead after a leadoff walk to Coco Crisp, but then a big boom from the Beaumont bomber. Jay Bruce 2-run homer following a walk to Joey Votto, and the Reds have a 2-1 lead. Meanwhile, Dan Straley, after a tricky first inning, he's been outstanding since then. 5 innings, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks. He settled down after that first inning, Cowboy.
Really has, and you had to have a feeling that there was going to be some emotions going into that first inning, and he got out of it with only the 1 run, but he's been nails ever since.
Here's Vogt, doubled in the first to fuel part of that rally, sending Coco Crisp to third, where Crisp scored on the Valencia base hit, and then he bounced to third in the 4th. Valencia on deck.
Starting to see the shadows begin to creep onto the playing field. As you mentioned earlier, as we move along, you'll see it more and more.
That's a strike, 3-1.
Toughest part is when those shadows are right between the pitcher and the batter at home plate. Ball goes from sunlight to dark.
As a hitter, you make it very difficult to see the spin on the ball.
Yeah, the ball comes out of the hand. You think, I see it, I see it, I see it. It hits that shadow, and no, I don't.
Full count, 3-2. Slap foul. And then stage 2 will be when the sun gets very low, right over the top of the stadium, and the left fielder and center fielder, anything hit towards left center, very difficult to shade your eyes and make a catch on a line drive. 3-2. Looped into left. Duval, long run at the warning track, hauls it in. 1 away. Here's Valencia. They celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 1976 World Series champions with the 76 replica ring ticket package. For just $30, get your game ticket and an exclusive 76 World Series replica ring. Plus, arrive early for a special pregame on-field ceremony featuring the members of the Big Red Machine. Hurry, the packages are limited. Visit reds.com/theme. That's June the 24th. And of course, Cowboy, we're heading towards Pete Rose celebration, the Reds Hall of Fame class of 2016. Boy, it's going to be a fun weekend. What a way to end the month of June after this next road trip. It'll be special.
That is going to be an electric weekend.
I mean, here's Valencia, singled in a run and struck out. I mean, Pete, more hits than anybody else in the history of the game. Yes, he made some mistakes by his own admission, but not in Cooperstown. At least he's going to be in here where he belongs.
But the Reds fans will be welcoming home the prodigal son.
Amen. Center field, playing deep is Holt, but he gets there. Good defensive game from Tyler Holt. You expect that from number 40. He said, no way I can see that. 2 away, and here's Yonder Alonso, the former Red. By the way, we cherish our relationship with all of our sponsors, and Cincinnati Children's Hospital certainly one of them. And on this day, a special thanks to everyone at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. One of the guys who's so much a part of our broadcast, Jason Hanley, he and his wife Shay, their son Annika Jay's AJ, underwent open heart surgery. There's a liner in to left. That's a base hit from Yonder Alonso. They have been just remarkable in the way they've handled AJ. They're giving him a chance at 5 months of age to live the life that he is destined to live. And everybody is part of the Reds family, and certainly Jason and Shay, thankful to Cincinnati Children's for all the great work they do. That's just one small story, Cowboy, but there's so many wonderful stories that emanate from Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
I know families that bring their children here all the way from Mississippi.
Thanks for all what you folks do. So Yonder's on. And here's Simeon, the shortstop. He struck out and doubled in the fourth.
Not only the quality of care at Cincinnati Children's, but the caring for the children and the families.
Fly ball to right. Bruce, long run. Edge of the foul line, in fair territory, hauls it in. Reds hanging on to a 2-1 lead. Suarez due up when we return.
Another annual happening today. It's the Reds Wives Players Favorite Things baskets. And the wives have been raffling off tickets all afternoon. They're about to draw in the 8th inning for the winners. Now, the annual Things basket is baskets filled with autographed jerseys, food, and gifts from players' home state, gift cards, books, 4 tickets to an upcoming game, and a few other things of the favorite things of the Reds players. All proceeds benefit the Dragonfly Foundation, and we salute the wives and the players for doing that annually.
Hey, you're right, JD. You know, at the ceremonies that we were talking about at the Miracle Field in Fairfield for Bernie Stowe and Joe Nuxhall, here's Suarez 0 for 2 today. We talked about it, and everybody reflects on it. We talk about the players on the field and what they do day in and day out. But the bottom line, Cowboy, and you've been there, I mean, the wives and the mothers make it all work, especially when you have a family.
Without that support, it doesn't work.
Suarez flied to right first time up, struck out second time up. That's way high. By the way, don't forget, tomorrow is Military Appreciation Day here at Great American Ballpark. It's always a special day for us. The Reds players will be wearing their alternate camouflage jerseys. There's a bloop in the center and a much weighted hit by Eugenio Suarez. He leads off the 6th with a base hit. Tomorrow also, following the game, it's family catch. So come on down to the ballpark tomorrow.
95-mile-an-hour sinker right in on the hands of Suarez, and he gets just enough bat to it to get it out into center field. If he takes a full swing and tries to pull that ball, he'll just roll over a slow roller to third base.
Here's Holt, singled and bounced out, 1 for 2. Inside to Tyler. They're starting to wrestle around in the bullpen for the A's. Zipchinski, the lefty, and Ryan Dull has been lights out. The righty starting to loosen in the bullpen for Oakland. Daniel Mengen's been outstanding to this point, trailing 2-1. And there you see the move to first. That's why he hasn't thrown over there.
The Reds may not know Ryan Dull, but they are quite familiar with the veteran Zipchinski.
Yep. One ball to Holt. Short lead for Suarez. Fastball inside.
Regardless of how this game turns out for Daniel Mengen and the A's, I think the A's have got themselves something. This kid, first major league start, and he's competing within the strike zone with all 3, maybe 4 pitches. He's got a curveball as well.
And he used all of them. You know, I mean, it's not like he was afraid to use them up here.
Got a little bit of deception, and not only the windup, but also in the stretch. Not something that you see every day. Sometimes being unique works in a positive manner.
Popped into right field. Muncy there, got it. There's your first out of the 6th inning. Here's another look at that foul ball off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. It ricocheted around the ballpark, and talk about our cricket something to smile about moment. Who came up with a baseball? You know, sometimes you see a little kid that gets a ball right off the ricochet. Sometimes it's a dad or a friend or a stranger.
Dad's got his daughter at the game today.
Special moment.
I said earlier, kids that brings a smile to them, it'll bring a smile to dad as well.
You're not kidding. Here's Tucker. Tucker singled to center in the 2nd, was left stranded, and he doubled in the 4th. So 2 for 2 for Barnhart. He's been outstanding the last week at the plate. Short lead Suarez, who singled down at first. And they want to make sure they're all on the same page. Both will go out and talk to him. Yeah, you know, he actually looks like Joe Rudy more than anybody. You know, the more you look at his face, he has a mustache like Raleigh Fingers. His face looks like
Joe Rudy.
Catfish, but more than anything, he looks like Joe Rudy. That's another great player from that ball club, man. Tuno. He holds on it. 3 balls, no strikes to Barnhart. And Straley's due up next. That's a strike.
You have to wonder, is Straley in the on-deck circle as a decoy?
Yep.
Because the Reds have action in their bullpen. I'm not so sure that Straley will hit here.
And you had Waldrop with a bat at the top of the steps. And if they went to the bullpen, Selsky was sitting right next to him with a bat in his hand too. Lefty righty combo. There's a walk, base hit and a walk, 2 on 1 out, and Straley will hit. Hey, Thursday, greatest golfers in the world converge on the historic Oakmont Country Club for the 116th U.S. Open Championship. Live coverage begins Thursday on FS1, continues through the final round on Sunday on Fox, or you can watch it all live on Fox Sports Go. You ever played Oakmont?
I have.
Special, huh?
Years ago, yeah, it's beautiful.
Looks like your lawn at home, right?
I don't know about that.
All right, let's see if Straley can get the bunt down this time. Couldn't do it in the second and struck out. Takes a ball there.
There was a quick meeting as things were going on. Straley coming to the plate. He walked down and had a conversation with Billy Hatcher. Hatcher with his arm over the shoulder of Straley.
Get the ball down and get it to third.
Maybe Billy was saying, please, please get this bunt down.
Or if you don't, I will.
You're going to be bunting every day for the rest of the year.
His job, get it down to third, and bad form again for a strike. I mean, the way he's setting up.
Well, he's just retreating with the bat.
Yeah.
He's either stabbing at it or retreating with it. And all you've got to do is get it out in front and just catch it, just like you would with your glove.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled off, and it's 1-2.
You can see Straley as he sets up. Instead of the bat being up around eye level, his bat is down here. When your bat's down here, it's not at eye level. You can't judge where the pitch is as it gets to the plate the last couple of feet.
You leave the bunt on 1-2. They appear to be doing exactly that.
Got it, baby.
He got it down, and he got it done.
Nice job.
Alonso took a look, was ready to gun it. In fact, they thought they had the runner at third. Valencia got back, but Alonso took 1 look. Valencia wasn't back there yet. They got the out at first. And how about that? A standing ovation for Straley behind the dugout. He finally gets a bunt down the Reds. He helps himself here.
Yeah, that's perfect technique. That time he really got the bat out in front. He bent his knees more and just caught the top of the baseball.
Well, that'll be it for Mencken. Pretty good start for his major league debut. Outstanding effort. His family's supporting him. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Daniel Mengden, his first major league start, 5 2/3 solid innings. He exits trailing 2-1. Second and third runners his responsibility. And here's a guy who's been on a roll of late, Ryan Dull, Cowboy.
Almost a sidewinding delivery. And you got to believe, George, that he's on for one batter, and that's to get Zach Cozart.
With Votto due up next, a left-handed swinger and 2 away. And if he gets the final out here, the pitcher spot due up third in the next inning. So with Zepchinski loosening, if he doesn't get Cozart and the inning is extended, then it'll be lefty-lefty to follow. Here's Zach 0 for 3. 2 ground outs and a strikeout.
Reds with a chance to add on here.
How good has Dull been? Hasn't allowed an earned run in his last 8 games, over 8 innings. And Cowboy, I remember you telling some of the young relievers when you were here with the Reds, the most important number when you're coming out of the bullpen is inherited runners. Swing and a miss, and that'll do it. 2 inherited runners, so he has not allowed any of the 26 inherited runners he's inherited to score.
It's brought to you, as always, by Performance Kings Honda. Dan Straley talked to us about the entire starting staff gaining confidence. And once they gain confidence, now they have the confidence of their manager. And he cited the last time Brandon Finnegan pitched, where Brian Price let him go out in the 7th inning when he had 90-plus pitches. That's exactly where Straley is right now, 94 pitches. And had this been earlier in the season, probably wouldn't be out there right now. But he says it's a trickle-down effect. Once we have confidence, the manager gets confidence in us, the position players behind us get confidence. It's much easier on the bullpen. It is a trickle-down effect, and it all starts with that bump in the middle of the field.
Well put, JD. And here's Straley going to work now in the 7th, 8th, and 9. Muncy, Burns, and then the pitcher spot due up. They'll overshift to the right side against this lefty swinging outfielder. And you mentioned, confidence among the pitchers. I mean, I walked past Straley, and really on this starting staff, Cowboy, Straley, while he may not be a veteran on another staff, he's one of the veterans on this staff right now, with Homer Bailey, of course, not pitching. And he was talking to John Lamb, saying, look, you're pitching today, you're the ace, you're the stopper. I'm pitching tomorrow, I'm the ace, I'm the stopper. Trying to pump the young pitchers up, understanding that each one of you has to take accountability for your spot in the rotation.
Well, part of it is helping the younger players understand mentally how their approach should be. And when it's your day to pitch, you are the man, and you have to feel like you are the man.
Phillips off balance, grabs it, got it, 1 away. Muncy 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. And here's Burns. Burns popped to the third baseman in the 2nd. And then in the fourth, with the bases loaded, hit a looping fly ball into center field that Tyler Holt made a diving running catch coming in on. It saved 2 runs. So Burns is 0 for 2.
Your teammates, your pitching coach, your manager, they can all talk to you, whether you're a hitter or a pitcher. You're good at you're doing great at this. You're good at that. You can do this. If you don't believe it, you can forget it.
Pitcher spot due up next. Chris Davis has moved into the on deck circle. Popped up in the infield. Tough sun shot here. Who's going to take charge? Duvall will. He does. Duvall had a better angle and he helped Cozart on that one. Hey, Reds fans, don't miss a historic weekend, June the 24th through the 26th at Great American Ballpark, when the Reds honor Pete Rose by inducting him into the Reds Hall of Fame. Sunday, June 26th, join the Reds in retiring the Hit Kings number 14. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Boy, that's going to be a great weekend. Hope you're down here at the ballpark to be part of it, and for that matter, hope you're downtown. It's going to be a weekend-long celebration.
Did you see where Duvall caught that ball?
He knew he had the better angle and he came in to bail out a shortstop.
Well, what amazes me is Duvall was a shortstop at Louisville. Played third base through the system with the Giants. So he's used to quick movements and quick reactions as the ball is put into play. Reads the ball very well off the bat. Most left fielders, as that ball went into the air, they're not standing 10 feet behind the infield cut. And he was waiting on it to come down. I mean, he made that play easy.
0-1. You know, you talk about developing players, and when you take a kid like Senzel, the Reds drafted out of Tennessee, good program. Louisville, one of the best programs in college baseball right now. You know, when you get a player from a program like that, or like when you were with Ron Polk at Mississippi State, you know you get somebody that knows how to play the game and plays it the right way. Here's a looping fly ball into left. Duvall there, and he'll hold Davis to a single. So a 2-out base hit by Davis. But that speeds up the process of getting him here, so you don't have to teach all that in the minor leagues.
Well, you understand the fundamentals as Chris Davis hits a hanging slider out over the plate. Not only do you understand the fundamentals, but they become instinctive because at the college level they are ingrained into you every single day.
So Davis off first. He's stolen 1 base this year, not been caught. 2 away in the inning, and Barnhart's going to come out and talk to Straley, dealing with Coco Crisp. Crisp has hit the 2 hardest balls so far today. Nothing to show for it. A line drive to center and a line drive to right, and he walked his first time up. That walk in the first inning later led to the first and only run that the A's have here in the 7th, with 2 outs and a runner on first.
I can hear Barnhart right now. Runs to the mound. Hey, you got 2 outs. Go hard. You got this guy. You got this guy. It's just a little bit of edge for a pitcher that's reaching his fatigue point at 106 pitches, and you just lift him just a little bit to come get him.
106 pitches, not a magic number, but boy, on this hot, humid day in Cincinnati with temperatures over 90 degrees, you get into inning number 7, you've worked the load.
And it helps to have that verbal confirmation from your catcher. I can remember Joe Oliver used to do that all the time. Crucial situation, he'd give the sign and then he'd pump his right fist.
Down the left field line and out of play, 1 and 2.
And as a pitcher, what that made you feel like, okay, I believe in myself, but man, my guy behind the plate believes in me too. Now, he might have been tricking me.
They did that. Yeah, Ollie would do that.
But what it does is it reinforces some confidence for you, and you make your pitch. You don't hope it up there. You drive it up there.
Davis, good speed down at first. With 2 away here in the 7th. Straley to the stretch. There goes the runner. It's grounded right down to second. Phillips has it, and that'll take care of it. Well, the pep talk by Barnhart works. The two will meet by the dugout and congratulate each other. 7 strong innings from Straley. And tune into the Golf Zone. Our PGA pro Jimmy Hanlon shows you terrific tips to lower your handicap and talks to you about this weekend's tournament. Get inside the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon, presented by American Eagle Mortgage and Varmint Guard. Sunday at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio. Big deep breath for Big Dan Straley. Ian Barnhart teamed up great today. Gets congratulations from his manager Brian Price. Job well done, Cowboy.
Really was a hot day. We have not had a day like this yet this year, and had the right man on the mound to handle this day.
So here's Mark Zipchinski, the veteran left-hander who the Reds have seen a lot of. In fact, so is Joey Votto. Votto 364, 4 for 11 against this lefty who he's seen a lot in his National League days. Votto singled in the first, walked in the third, and scored on the homer by Bruce, and then lined out to left in the 5th. 1 ball, 1 strike to Joey. Phillips and Bruce due to follow. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Reds, 8 left on. A run, 5 hits, no errors for Oakland, and 6 left on. That drops in there for a strike. And as it was when you faced him here, Cowboy, he's usually a 1-batter guy, maybe 2/3 of an inning, very seldom more than an inning for this veteran left-hander.
I've got to believe he's in there to face Votto and Bruce.
Yep, going to be in for at least a couple. Off balance Lowry, and a nice scoop by Alonso. Good play on both ends of it. Lowry makes a dandy play, and then Alonso scoops it at the other end. So Joey's retired, first out of the 7th inning. Solid play on both sides. Lowry, the former shortstop, makes the play, and a good pick at the other end by Alonso. So 1 out, and here's Phillips. 13-game hitting streak on the line. He's 0 for 3. Strikeout, line drive out, fly ball out, and 3 plate appearances. High fly ball center field. It'll stay in the park. Burns there. And Brandon's retired. So barring unforeseen circumstances, the 13-game hitting streak may come to an end on this day. But on this day, Jay Bruce has been the hero. In the 3rd, talk about a moonshot, Cowboy. This was our Volkswagen drive of the game.
Up and out over the plate, and you see where that ball hit. Up probably 2nd or 3rd row, all the way up in the sun deck here this afternoon. You let Bruce get extended, he can get some tape measures.
Slapped the other way and foul. No balls and 2 strikes. So the numbers continue to climb. Now 222 career homers. That's 7th on the Reds all-time list. George Foster 6th at 244. Took a little off, and Zepchinski gets his job done. He gets the 2 lefties he was sent in to get. Going to the 8th, Reds clinging to a 1-run lead. Dan Straley, 7 innings of 1-run baseball. Cowboy, he took charge of this game.
He did. You look back at the 1st inning, a little bit of overthrowing, maybe trying to do a little bit too much, but after that he settled down awfully well. Always has that good slider, used his fastball well, had the changeup working. The key for Straley, most of the time he is not going to hurt himself. He did walk the first batter of the ball game and had a couple of walks there in the 4th inning. But it goes back to yesterday with DeSclafani. He made the pitches when he had to.
Well, here's Tony Cingrani, who picked up save number 6. He'll be brought on here in the 8th inning, not the 9th inning today, for his 31st appearance of the season. Picked up save number 6 last night, and in the 9th gave up a base hit, but got out of the jam on a double play ball with Coco Crisp at the plate. Here Lowry pops one into right. Bruce is there, and there's one away. This is a lineup, and Bob Melvin did the same thing in the National League. He always balances his lefties and his righties, flip-flops them, and many managers will do that, and it's aided by this Melvin lineup because he's got 3 switch hitters in the lineup too. So very difficult to stack up with your pitching. So Cingrani will face the best left-handed swingers that are here, and this is one of them, Steve Vogt, who's got home run power.
Yeah, and Valencia, he does hit from the right side, but Tony's fastball runs away from those right-handers.
Vogt today a double, a ground out, and a fly ball out. That kicks away. And, you know, maybe entering into the equation too, when you look at the lineup, Cingrani came in at the bottom of the lineup last night and finished with Coco Crisp. So these guys did not see him last night.
And the other factor is if Vogt or Valencia do happen to get on, Yonder Alonso hitting from the left side would be the following hitter.
Runs, 6 hits for Cincinnati, 8 left, a run, 5 hits, 6 left for the Oakland A's. That kicks away. The A's are trying to end a 6-game losing streak overall and an 8-game road losing streak. They're only 1-6 in June. The Reds are trying to come up with a victory today to give them their 3rd series win of the last 4 series. Line drive to left, battling the sun. Duvall has it.
Fastball down and away. Cingrani hits the mitt, or would have hit the mitt. Nice piece of hitting by Stephen Vogt, but he hit it right at Duvall. And this is it's probably the biggest out of the game right here, because Valencia has home run power, and he's facing a left-handed pitcher in Cingrani.
Valencia singled in the lone run that the A's have. That came in the first, a base hit to left, struck out, and then lined to center. Overall, the best hitter in this lineup too. Last 9 games he's been right at the 500 mark. His average coming into today was 340, and one of the top 3 or 4 hitters average wise in the league coming into today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think the key here for Cingrani is you just make Valencia beat you to the right field side of second base.
Stay away.
You don't want to walk him, but you stay away from his power. Because that swing there is not nearly the kind of swing that you get from Valencia when the ball's middle in.
Yonder Alonso's cheated way over, almost behind home plate in the on-deck circle to get as good a look as he can at Cingrani. Look at it.
I never really liked that.
No. You don't know many pitchers that did, do you?
No. High fastball, and that exploded out of the hand of Cingrani, as you could see the quick reaction by Barnhart.
A kick save and a beauty. Full count, 3-2. Got him. Cingrani 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. The big strikeout of Valencia to the bottom of 8. Reds by 1. Smiling side of the scoreboard for the Reds so far. They lead it 2-1. Good job, Matt Sigafus, dialing up a good highlight package with some musical interlude as well. Don't forget, Reds fans, be a part of history June 24th through the 26th when Pete Rose is inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame. Saturday on the 25th, arrive early for a pregame on-field ceremony and receive a commemorative Pete Rose poster presented by Yucatan Guacamole. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Here's John Axford. Seen a lot of him over the years, Cowboy.
He does not like pitching at Great American Ballpark. 17 games here in the Queen City with a 9.22 ERA. That's a little rough.
He's been a closer, been a setup man. And there's Adam Duvall to lead it off, bottom of 8. Duvall flied to right, flied to center, and hit a line drive to short. With a runner in scoring position that Simeon made an outstanding play on, or else the Reds would have a pad run right now. On the season, sitting on 17 homers and 41 knocked in. They overshift to the left side against a big swing. Axford faced the Reds for the first time in Milwaukee from 2009 through 13, then St. Louis, and then was briefly with Pittsburgh, and of course Colorado. And he also had a stop in Cleveland, if I remember, too. Shortstop. That's why. For his career, over 140 saves. It was a time when it looked like he'd be the closer for the Brewers for a while. High fastball, swing and a miss. The velocity still there at 97. That's strikeout number 1 for Axford, out number 1 here in the 8th.
And this is the pitch that Axford counts on you swinging at. Not a real locator of the fastball, but he is counting on you swinging at that 97-mile-an-hour fastball up around the letters, and if you do that, he's going to get you.
So 1 away. Here's Suarez, singled his last time, up 1 for 3. And just as Brian Price brought in Tony Cingrani against the part of the lineup that did not see him last night, I think what Bob Melvin has done, he knows the numbers too. He's brought in Axford to face guys that haven't faced him before, the younger players on the Reds roster. I mean, Votto is 3 for 11 and a homer. Phillips has 3 hits off him. Bruce only 1 for 11. Cozart has a homer off him. Melvin's been a good manager every place he's been. Seattle in the early 2000s, and Arizona 06 to 08. Mark Kotsay is bench coach right next to him. Well, what a player Kotsay was, huh? Cal State Fullerton.
No.
That's a strike. He and Brian Price, the Reds manager, remain very close. Very clear that the first choice for Bob Melvin every place he went would have been Brian Price as his pitching coach. Brian given the job here in Cincinnati as the manager, though. That's a walk. Suarez gives the Reds a base runner, and here comes Tyler Holt. Single, bounced out, flied out. Holt filling in for Billy Hamilton on the concussion disabled list, 7-day concussion list. His contribution today is a hit, but also 2 fine plays in the outfield. One of them with the bases loaded to rob the A's of a hit that would have produced at least 2 runs. That's a strike down the middle from Axford. Holt facing Axford for the first time. is a swing and a miss. Axford has saved as many as 46 in a season. That was back in 2011 in Milwaukee. I mean, he had ERAs of 1.95, 2.48, 1.74. He had some monster years, and control trouble set in. That's way high.
A lot of times the problems arise for Jonathan Axford when teams start to hit him a little bit. He tends to try to overthrow. Your top fastball is 97, and the harder that you try to throw it, it's not going to get any faster. You're just going to be all over the place.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Tucker Barnhart on deck for the Reds. Axford to the stretch with 1 away. Holt hanging in there. Another 96-mile-an-hour delivery in on the hands.
You know, pitching and the hitting is pretty much the same way. You want to be aggressive mentally, but relaxed physically. Go figure. And those don't always mesh, especially when your heart is beating with adrenaline, because your body wants to just erupt.
There's the 1-2. Got him. 2 strikeouts, 2 away. Joe Torre always described that as be intense but not tense. Easy to say, hard to do sometimes, huh?
It is, but that's what makes special players special, and that's also what makes players that have phenomenal talent and look like can't miss prospects never make it.
Here's Tucker, single, doubled, walk, been on base all 3 times. Against Axford, 0 for 1 in his career. Big swing there.
I equate the pitcher that throws the ball 97, 98 miles an hour and has no control to the hitter that hits 30 home runs and strikes out 200 times.
There goes the runner. This one fouled off to the left side. Brian Price rolls through his signs for Billy Hatcher. Hatcher waiting for Suarez to take a peek at him. Now he does.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to play this game, but you have to have some semblance of baseball aptitude.
0-2, setting up away is Bowden. Got him. Axford issues a walk but strikes out the side. Last roundup for the A's. Yonder Alonso will lead it off, and we return. neighborhood Kroger to save big store wide. Great food, low prices, all at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. What a picture perfect day. Temperature near the 90-degree mark, high humidity, great day for baseball, and so far the Reds have obliged. They lead it 2-1. We go to the 9th inning, and here's Ross Ollendorf, who will come in to try to nail things down in the 9th. Yonder Alonso, the left-handed swinger. Marcus Semien, the shortstop, a right-handed swinger, and Max Muncy, the right fielder, a left-handed swinger, due up. Ollendorf against Alonso. Yonder today bounced into a double play, walked and singled. Yonder on the season, a homer and 12 knocked in for the year. The big, tall right-hander delivers, breaking ball up high. Falls behind 2-0 to the leadoff hitter in the 9th. That's a strike.
Inning, 1-run game. You make them beat you the other way. Got away with one right there.
Alonso hit the ball solidly to center for a base hit his last time up, and last night hit 2 balls off the right field wall and was held to a single both times.
Barnhart had set right up on the outside corner on the last pitch, and it ended up on the inside corner. So did that.
Talk about Dan Straley facing the team that he broke into the major leagues with for Yonder. It was a similar story when he came back here. Not many people left on this club from when he was with the club, but part of that 2010 team came up while Jocketty brought some of the young guys up to be part of those celebrations. And he'll always remember that. It's solidly. Cozart can't get it. That's a base hit for Alonso. Leadoff hitter on in the 9th inning. So Alonso's 2 for 3 today. And here comes a pinch runner. Leidendorf will come in and run for Alonso. He's got good speed.
That fastball was right down Broadway.
So Leidendorf in. He's got some speed. We'll see what Melvin does with Marcus Semien at the plate. Semien 1 for 3, a double. Muncy in the on deck circle. From the stretch is Ollendorf. Bigger lead for Leidendorf down at first. This one fly down the right field line. Bruce long run towards the corner, reaching up. He got it. He got it, and the throw will come back in to hold the runner at first. Leidendorf had gone all the way to second. In fact, if the ball drops, he may have even scored on that play. What a play by Jay Bruce. He delivered a big 2-run home run. This play's just as big.
Well, that's a game saver right there. Because if Jay breaks stride at all as he slams into the wall, that ball drops in, and you're right, George, he would have scored easily.
Outstanding play by the Reds right fielder. So one away, still a runner on first, and here comes Muncy, the left-hand swinger. First pitch, pop up. Who's going to take charge? Phillips will, and Cozart comes in and he'll take over. 2 away, so 2 pitches, and Ollendorf's within an out of getting out of this one. And here comes Billy Burns, the number 8 hitter, and they'll be up on their feet here. Good crowd, 32,034. They've seen Dan Straley pitch great. 7 innings of 1-run baseball. Cingrani had a 1-2-3-8. Ollendorf trying to close it out in the 9th. Here's Butler. Butler popped up, flied out, flied out. Butler was up in the 4th with the bases loaded. Hit a line drive to center that Holt made a long run and a diving catch of. Defensively, that ranks with Bruce as a key defensive play of the game. Ollendorf to the stretch. Line drive, center field, that's going to drop. Here comes Holt. The runner will hold at second.
Billy Burns, first pitch swinging. Didn't quite get it on the barrel of the bat. He got enough of it to get in there for a base hit.
And in fact, actually broke the bat as it shattered near the tip. Another look. So now the tying runs at second. The go-ahead runs at first. And here comes Billy Butler, who will pinch hit. Butler, veteran, of course, of Kansas City. He's 1 for 3 in his career against Ollendorf. Butler, a primetime player in Kansas City. He's been relegated to a backup role in and out of the lineup here. Missing just inside. Fouled off to the right side. Kansas City Royals were always pretty good in interleague play, and this guy is a career 300 hitter in interleague play as well. He's responded in interleague competition. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ollendorf trying to dispose of him here in the 9th inning. 2 singles, 2 on.
3 for 15 in pinch hit duty for Butler.
He has the only 3 pinch hits that they have. Great job by Barnhart. Both runners were prepared to advance. 2-1.
That's enough to pull your left arm out of socket.
Ollendorf spinning the ball in his right hand from the stretch. Butler digs in. 2 balls, 1 strike. Slap foul the other way. Against the Reds, and the Reds have played Kansas City a few times where he spent most of his career. Butler, a .407 hitter, 11 for 27 and a couple of home runs. Ollendorf, a tough offensive customer to deal with here. Coco Crisp in the on-deck circle, but Ollendorf wants to end it right here. Got him! And a standing ovation from the Reds fans behind the dugout. They'll celebrate at Great American Park. Russ Ollendorf can take a big deep breath thanks to Jay Bruce and a game-saving catch, and his catcher Tucker Barnhart, who saved a wild pitch. End result, Cowboy, a smiling scoreboard for the Reds, and they've won another series. They'll try to sweep it tomorrow.
It's amazing the defense that the Reds have played here in this 2-game series. Multiple double play balls that they have turned over, and some outstanding outfield defense as well.
Whole lot more to talk about when we return. Reds have won at 2-1. Take 2 straight from Oakland.